Content warning. Echo can be emotionally intense experience and may not be for everyone. Echo contains themes of adult nature, including violence, torture, drug usage, and harsh language. Viewer discretion is advised. My eyes adjust enough for me to realize that I'm outside somewhere looking through the branches of dead trees and many stars above me. Aside from the calls from the few birds, completely silent. I stare at the sky above me for a while, wishing that it wasn't so cold so I could go back to sleep. Where am I? There's a slight confusion. I feel mixed in with apathy before waking up to a familiar feeling. I can remember when my parents forced me into Boy Scouts 10 years ago. I hated it so much, especially the camping. I could never fall asleep and when oh my god, I was so fucking right. I was so fucking right. This is so uncomfortable. We keep going. Waking up with the confusion as to where I was. I sit up straight in the tent, looking around me for up to 10 minutes, wondering why was in complete darkness and this is so toxic. He's isolating him from his other friends. Except now there's no tent or sleeping bag. My mind works slowly like it's drenched in molasses, and I knead the ground with my fingers, digging them into the dead vegetation and soil. And finally, I break through the barrier to the lucidity and realize what was happening to me is real. I'm outside. I look left, I look right, and see I'm surrounded by trees or bushes. The smell of sagebush and dirt fills my nostrils as I slowly get up to my feet. My limbs and flesh are numb from the cold, and I rub my hands up and down my arms, trying to find some warmth. Did I sleepwalk? I must have, unless Leo took me out here for some reason, or someone else did. I shiver. There's not much else I can do except walk forward. Ahead of me looks like the branches clear out into a more darkness. I hope that I'm behind Leo's house where I know there are some bushes and trees. Either way, I can't be that far from the house. Slowly I start walking, reaching out blindly to move past the sharp branches and prickly bushes. The pain wasn't that bad, not as nearly as bad as you'd think it'd be. I look back behind me, staring hard into the blackness. I can't see anything beyond the branches right in front of me, which give me the impression of gnarled teeth in the front of the dark, endless mouth. Quickly, I turn back around and push through the dead vegetation in front of me, trying not to panic. But I knew I was dead the moment I looked down. A branch scrapes across my cheek, and another stabs me hard in the hip as I run right into it. Two stumps, gushing blood, splashing the wheels of the train and rails. I finally break out into the open. Now I can see more stars above me, but the complete lack of a moon makes almost everything around me impossible to see. I can at least tell that it's large clearing, but no matter how hard I squint, I can't see ahead of me. Tentatively, I start walking forward, looking left and right for any signs of light that might help guide me back to town. I can feel a whirring seed of panic starting up in my chest, and I worry it's going to explode out of me for at any second. The last thing I need is me running through the night, screaming my head off. Pretty soon, I become aware of what looks like a large block in front of me. Again, I reach out with my hands, walking slower as I approach whatever it was in front of me. They press up against something rough, hard, and cold. Whatever it is, made of some type of metal. It feels broken and rusted, as I assume old. Was it the warehouse of some kind? I sidestep to the right until my hands run against some bars that stick out from the structure, and that's when it hits me. It's a freight car from the old train. Sure enough, the next thing my hand meets is the empty space as I come up what I remember to be the open door I sat in earlier. I was out in the train yard? I almost laughed. Did my anxiety about finishing the project cause me to sleepwalk all the way back out here? No, I think it's finding out that this man is isolating you from your other friends. At least now I know exactly where I am. I rest my hands on the edge of the car, breathing in the musty air inside. There's a hint of something sweet and sick on top of it, and it crosses my mind that anything could have crawled inside and died. I quickly move away from the car, turning my body in the direction I know Leo's house is in. I start walking again, pouring through my recent memories to see if I could somehow remember the hell I got here. I remember Leo coming back in the bedroom, putting his arm around me, then nothing. I definitely fell asleep. Sleepwalking is the only answer, right? The sound of rustling behind me makes me jump, but I keep moving forward, not wanting some tiny creature to the grass getting me spooked. Squinting ahead of me, I see no lights yet, which is strange because I know Echo should have been at least a few lights on. The street lights, at least. A loud metallic clang fills the air, and this time I do whirl around. Hello? My voice is scratchy from waking up, and I cough to clear it. Hello? The loudness of the voice actually startles me, but the response is silence. Did a bird hit it? Maybe I knocked something loose when I was feeling around. I'm definitely not going back to check it out, though. So with a quickened pace, I started moving again. That's when I hear more shifting around in the car, like something is rolling around inside. I stop walking again and hold still, perking my ears as I try to hold my breath, heart pounding. This time I don't call out. Instead, I listen. I swallow, and it's loud. I almost jump at the sound, but again, the sound stopped completely. I wait a little while longer before I start moving again, this time at a slight jog. A crazy thought enters my mind where I think maybe Leo and I got really drunk and maybe we both came out here and blacked out. And that Leo is in the train car right now, hungover, rolling around. It's in the middle of the night. It's the middle of that thought, though, that the sound starts up again. It's louder this time, and it ends with it cutting off for a split second before something heavy thuds to the dead vegetation below. I stop again, but this time it's so that whatever it is doesn't hear me, knowing that if I keep walking, the heavy crunches of my footsteps will allow me to pinpoint me immediately. Oh my god, my throat is completely dry. A new thought enters my mind. It could be Clint. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he comes out here to sleep in the train cars. That would totally be something that he'd do. While it does ease my worries a little bit, I'm not fully relaxed because I know the dumb fuck has a gun. I also know he wouldn't hesitate to shoot at something if it startled him. So I crouched down a bit, waiting, listening, and now I'm pretty sure I can hear breathing. Ragged, wheezing breathing. That definitely sounds like Clint. I gather up some spit in my mouth so my tongue doesn't stick to the roof of it. Take a small breath. Hey, Clint? I say it gently, quietly, but I'm sure he can hear me. I get some more silence in return, but I also get the distinct feeling that he isn't listening back. I try again. It's me! Chit! There was an explosion of energy and sound in front of me, but it's not a gunshot. Instead, it's a sense of forward momentum that I can physically feel. That whatever it is in front of me is lunging forward at me. Two loud thuds, one following the other in the less half a second, followed by an explosive dragging sound. The cycle repeats the second it ends. Whatever it is sounds desperate, almost manic. But I don't stick around to find out because before I know it, my legs are carrying me through the clearing as fast as I can. Although of what it could be are gone from my mind as I dodge into the trees and bushes to my right, knowing that if I could break through to the other side, I'll be right in front of Leo's house. What's behind me, though, is moving impossibly fast. Already, it sounds like the distance between me and it has been cut in half, and I'm struggling between branches and sagebrush. I hear the break into the brush with me. I gasp as a full-on panic sets in. Leo! Leo! I scream as loud as I can, knowing that he could be able to hear me, also knowing that he sleeps like a rock. The thing behind me seems to double its efforts at the sound of my voice, and the cycle of movement increased. It now has the momentum of a gallop. My breaths are coming in panic, and now I know I'm not going to make it because it's only 3 feet behind me, and if the window opens up in the back of my mind, I see it. 2 clawed hands outstretched towards me, a face that flashes past too fast for me to make out, but I manage to see a lipless mouth. And it slams me into my back and crushes me into the ground against sharp branches and rock. I gasp as air is crushed out of me, but before I can suck it back in, a hand wraps around my neck. I struggle and pull, but it's like I'm under a foot. I'm so thoroughly pinned that I can't even budge an inch. There's hissing behind my head, and I feel dripping against my back of my neck. Tears squeeze out of my eyes as I try to reach forward, but it's like I'm paralyzed. I'm yanked back, suddenly my face coming out of something soft and white. A pillow. Chase, are you okay? Leo's husky voice whispers into my ear as I take in a huge gasp of air. Whoa, can't breathe? I coughed and gasped, my face wet with tears as I sit in the bed looking around. Oh, baby, it's okay. Leo draws me into a warm hug and I take it limply, my mind only now catching up to me. I coughed a few more times. Sorry, paralysis, I couldn't move. Leo rocks me a few times, making shushing sounds. I remember you telling me about that. Good thing I was here to pull you out of your pillow. Why was he face first in his pillow? I usually came out of this paralysis under a minute, but sometimes. I shudder and pull back out of the hug, wiping my face. What did you dream about? I tried to think back, but the dream was fleeting in my mind as fast as whoever it was that was chasing me. What was chasing me? I can't remember. Leo rubs my shoulders and looks at my face. It's dark, but I can see the whites of his eye patches giving him an almost ghostly appearance. You want to stay up? I can make you tea or something. Boy, you need to get the fuck out of here. Like, you really need to call your other two friends. The adrenaline's already leaving me to be replaced by fatigue, but the offer sounds nice. Sure. All right. Want to come with me? I pause and shake my head, wanting to collect myself alone for a moment. No, just give me a second. All right. I am vibrating, guys. Like, that's how, like, scared I am right now. That whole thing was horrifying. Leo leans forward and kisses me on the forehead before leaving me alone in the dark room. I lay back down on my side, trying to remember what I had dreamed about. Oh my god, I need coffee. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was in the woods. Something was after me. That's about all I can recall. The warmth Leo left in the bed quickly. Leo left in the bed quickly has me drowsy again. I'm about to drift when something pokes me in the foot. I try to ignore it, but the thought of it, an insect of some kind, has me reaching down to feel at it. It's hard and crackly, whatever it is, and when I pull it up, I find a dead leaf. Drowning. I pull back the sheets, and there, clinging to the fabric and from my feet, is dirt and leaves. That wasn't a nightmare. What was that? Guys, I'm vibrating. Like, I'm like physically, like, I think it's not like shaking, but like I think I have goosebumps to the point that it feels like it's vibrating my skin. Like this, I get like this when I'm embarrassed and scared. Like, oh my god. Leo wakes me up early the next day telling me he had to settle some stuff with his dad at the shop. I don't get much of a chance to ask why or how long before he's out the door, yelling something about food being in the fridge. I immediately fall back asleep, though, and when I open my eyes again, it's 2 hours later. Leo texted me about half an hour ago. So that pops shop, but be back soon, I think. I swallow back down the lump of dread in my throat as I remember the text messages. I didn't want to confront him, not one bit, but I can't just let it sit. Something has to be said before I leave. I lay around for another 20 minutes before grabbing my phone to browse a bit. That's when I realized I haven't charged it last night. My battery's 25%. I groan and throw an arm around my eyes. One day left to do this project. I'm so far behind, though, that I'm not even feeling any anxiety about it at this point. Just resigned. I should have known better, really, that I wasn't going to get anything done with Leo around. I stare at the wall for a while longer before I force myself to sit up. No use lying around. I might not be making my best project, but it didn't mean I couldn't do a few things to make it less terrible. Food momentarily crosses my mind, but I shrug it off. I've never been a breakfast person anyway. As soon as I leave the house, I notice things are a bit off. Firstly, it's dead quiet. Usually there's some kind of drone, or whether it be the wind or plane overhead, there's usually something. No sound of birds either, and those were always chirping in the morning. I stand in the doorway for a bit, feeling vague sense of tension, electricity in the air, something building. I shake my head, feeling dizzy. That dream last night had me fucked up in all kinds of ways, so it's not surprising that it's probably still messing with me. Boy, you woke up with dirt, trees, and like twigs and leaves on your feet. I'll be glad to be gone from this place tomorrow. Some rustling next door draws my attention. I see Kutsu carrying a set of clippers walk across the front yard. I open my mouth to say hi, but I hold back, feeling self-conscious. His brooding nature was a bit intimidating, and I don't know if he's the kind of person who expects a greeting or not. I'm not left to wonder long, though, because he spots me almost immediately and raises the hand. Morning. Oh, hey there. He grunts before setting his attention to a bush in front of him, sizing it up. I stand there awkwardly for a bit longer, wondering if that's the end of our exchange, but he speaks up again. Leo take off? He nods his head at the empty driveway. Oh yeah, earlier this morning. I walk down from the porch and walk over to the edge of Leo's lawn so it doesn't feel like we're yelling at each other. He says something about having to take care of business with his dad. I see. Kuzo stops trimming and looks up at me before smiling. You could come on my lawn. It's not like I have an electric fence or anything. Looking down, I see that I'm towing the edge of his immaculate lawn on Leo's side, looking like a little kid. I blushed before stepping over to the crunch along the tan-colored gravel he had set out. It's weird how nice it all is, especially compared to the shitty trailer sitting in the middle of it all. If he had an Adobe-styled house, the place would be a southwestern perfection. This all looks nice. I guess gardening is your hobby? Thanks. Kutso snips at the bush rather aggressively. I like it. It's what I do most of the day. The raccoon moves to the side of the bush, examining it. It's peaceful. Oh my god, I've been gripping my hand. Oh, I've been gripping my hand the entire time. He gives the bush another snip before resting a hand on his hip while he lets the clippers dangle in the other. And it keeps you in shape. Can't argue with that. Although he's skinny, the muscles showed through the fur on his arms. He's probably the most in-shape guy I've seen in Echo. I realize I'm staring and quickly snap my eyes back to his, but he's already smirking. I worry he's about to point out that he's caught me, but instead he gestures at my camera bag with his clippers. Gonna do something for your project? Oh yeah, need to get that bit more film before I leave tomorrow. The son of raccoon wipes his forehead with a forearm. Anything in particular? I think not really, just old stuff to show the town's age. Kuzo sticks the clippers into the ground, looking up as he seems to think. I know a few things. You go to the old school? Yeah, was headed there actually. And then there's the ruins next to the lake. Yeah, I was gonna wait for Leo to drive me there later. Other than that, there's an old rusted pump up the road, but I don't think that's actually from Echo's earlier days. Couldn't hurt to look. Where is it exactly? Points over my shoulder up the road. Down past Duke's house, right before the convenience store. It's kind of hidden back in some bush, but I can take you there. Oh, if it's not trouble. It's fine, I got plenty of time to do this today. Well, alright, thanks. I shift my bag on my shoulder and stand to the side as Kutso tosses the clippers beside the brush and starts walking towards the road. I follow him quietly again, feeling awkward on his no-nonsense edge. I can't get over the freaking phone thing. I really can't. He's really isolating Chase now from his other friends. The fact that we haven't seen them in a few days. The fact that he's blaming TJ for what happened on Monday, of all things. Oh my god. This is abusive emotionally and physically, probably. So you and Leo getting along? Yeah, we're having fun. My mind wanders back to the text messages and my stomach clenches. Good. He's been looking forward to this week for a while now. Wouldn't shut up about it last week. I'm somewhat surprised that it's Kutso filling the silence between us. Not that I mind. He's pretty damn good at it for such a somber guy. I smile. Yeah, that's Leo. He really misses our old pack. Or does he? Kutso huffs at a laugh. Wolves. I agree. Wolves. As we walk, I can smell the heavy musk coming from the raccoon, mingled with his scent neutralizer, evidence of a hard day's work. There's something special about hanging out with another musky creature. It makes you less self-conscious. So, I know you hate Peyton, but don't you have to go back there for work? Back in the day, I had a job studying desert plants after college. Good times. That would definitely put him a few steps above most anyone living in Echo, where a high school diploma is a rare thing. I'm a clerk in the town hall, so no, I'm pretty much always here. Always? Do you have a car? Sold it after I came here. Wow, don't you have to get out to shop for food? Sometimes. I grow and fish what I can, and the convenience store has a surprisingly good produce section, but otherwise Leo gives me rides once in a while. Ah, gotcha. Again, I'm curious of what exactly happened in Peyton. I'm going to be gone by tomorrow, and I don't find that question to be too intrusive, especially with all the information he's provided me so far. So, I don't want to be nosy. I let the statement hang for a moment, and Kutso turns his head towards me. And maybe you shouldn't ask? That stops me short, and I almost stop walking. My face get warm under the heat of the sun. I glance over at the raccoon, but his expression isn't accusatory or angry. Just as neutral as it always is. Makes me wonder if this is just the raccoon's way of speaking. I already know how blunt he can be. I decide to trust that what little I know about him and press forward. No? I asked with the same straight face. Well, you should always ask yourself if asking something nosy is a good idea. No reason to do it if you're gonna piss someone off needlessly. Ah. Before I can even consider, Kudzo goes on. Now, considering what we were just talking about, I could probably guess what you were gonna ask. I could feel the embarrassment returning. Yeah, but before I answer that, I have a question for you. I shrink a little more into myself. Yeah? Why do you care? The question definitely catches me by surprise at first, and I wonder if it's just Kudzo's way of telling me to shut up. No, it's like, I think that's a genuine, like, why would we care? But again, after looking at his face, I decided to just tell him the truth. I clear my throat. Well, I like you. You're a cool guy. It comes out rather lamely, but it's the truth. He has a demeanor of not really giving a fuck about what others think of him. It's like Flynn, except Kudzo didn't seem like he was putting up a front at all. On top of that, he stepped into the shop. He stepped in to stop a crowbar-wielding drug addict when he saw his friend in danger. Kudzo laughed genuinely and is a bit startling. That's really the reason? I'm flustered again. Well, yeah, fair enough. And I like you too. Leo was mostly right about you. What did Leo say about me? A lot of things, but you can't expect a wolf as love-smitten as he is to not exaggerate, can you? No, I guess not. I step on a particularly large rock and nearly lose my balance. Before I can even stumble, Kudzo's grasping my arm tightly, stopping me from running into him. Whoa, sorry. Thanks. Raccoon had a damn fast reflex. No problem. I start to walking him, but Kudzo doesn't move. I stop and glance at him, but he's looking up at the road, not at me. I lost someone in Payton. It takes me a moment to realize what he's talking about, but then I do. By a guy with a gun who didn't give a fuck. I swallow and don't say anything, looking down at the ground. Happened on the same street we lived on. Of course, I had no idea what to say. Wait for Kudzo to go on, but he doesn't. When I look up, I see that he's looking right at me. I swallow. Yeah, that would make me want to move too. Yeah, people. There's less of them here. I'm sorry. Kudzo just looks back at me. Why? Open my mouth, but before I can say anything, Kudzo smiles. Kidding. I let my breath out in relief and laugh a little. Should we keep going? I make as if to walk up the road again, but Kudzo doesn't follow. When I look back, he nods at the brush at the side of the road. It's right here. It's right in here. I wasn't expecting much, and I'm not disappointed as we come up to the pump. Mostly it's just a rusted piece of metal sticking out of the ground. Kudzo seems a bit put off by how lame it is himself. Smaller than I remember it being. It's something at least. I'll get a few shots out of it. I start unpacking the camera from the bag a bit reluctant to do it for something so insignificant. How'd you find this thing anyway? I look towards the road, which is basically hidden by a dense brush in front of me. Need to take a piss? I know my house is right there, but peeing outside is liberating. Speaking of, I'm going to do that. He pauses. I can do it in front of the pump if you like, for effect. I force a laugh, wondering if this was the first time I've heard the raccoon make a joke. At least I hope it was a joke. My laughing turns into a groan, though, when I see the battery level. First my phone, now this? What's up? Kudzo asks a bit deeper in the brush, facing away from me. My battery's low. Not gonna have enough for the school. I'm gonna have to go back and grab a spare. Oh, well, why don't you finish the footage for the pump while I run back to grab another battery? You sure? Well, yes. It'll be faster. I've been in his house a few times. Where is it at? In a dock on his desk next to his computer. All right, I'll be back. With that, Kudzo jogs off up the brush and back onto the road. Within a minute, I feel like I have all the footage I can get out of the pump. I sigh and rub my face, glad to at least be out of the sun, but annoyed that I've gotten so little footage of it. Trigger warning. Verbal description of hanging and sexual abuse. Skip to 29 minutes. Trigger warning. As I'm doing so, I hear this sound like a gag behind me. I perk my ears and look back. I hear it again, but it's softer, more like a grunt this time. I'm almost positive Kudzo didn't go that way, but I can't imagine who else would be there. Kudzo? I wonder if he may have gotten him. I know it's dangerous to get a heat stroke. Getting a little worried, I start moving further into the brush. Again, I hear a gagging sound. It's much louder this time. Good, you alright? Pushing deeper with the more urgency, and not 20 yards in, I come into a clearing. The ground is covered in dead grass, and the sun hits me again with vengeance. I blink furiously, eyes watering from the brightness of the clearing and the blazing red behind my eyelids. In a few seconds, I'm able to pry my eyes open. The first thing I notice is a peeling trailer to the right, pressed up into the trees. I have some vague memories of a trailer back here where a grumpy badger used to live. Straight in front of me, in the meadow, is a dead tree with one dry, gnarled branch that twists up into the sky. The tree itself would be eerie enough, but it's what's under it that stops me dead. It takes a moment to comprehend what I see. Hanging from the lowest branch is a body, long and emaciated down to the skeleton. I remain rooted to my spot, mouth hanging open. Disgustingly, my mind immediately goes to the camera. I don't know why. Yes, showing footage of a dead body to the whole class. Either I get an A for being edgy or I fail for showing a fucking dead body. Probably expelled, actually. Feel my stomach starting to turn, and I'm finally able to take my first step back. But then it moves. With a quick jerk, one of the skeleton's hands reaching up spasmically to its neck before slumping back down. With my eyes fully adjusted to the sun, now I recognize the color of the fur, the build of skeleton. Clint! On unsteady feet, I manage to stumble forward and reach out the ringtail, aiming to at least hold him up until I can get Kutsu over to help. Somehow, though, he was able to spin and face me, his face expression of mortified fury. His eyes are almost glowing with blood, how bloodshot they are. His twisted muzzle is covered in drool, leaking down to his chest. Get back! Leave! What? Clint, what the hell are you doing? I move forward again, but Clint lashes out with a foot, hitting me in the knee. That's when I see his toes are touching the ground, at least barely. I stare in confusion, look back up to me, Clint's furious eyes. Fucking leave! Spit flies from its muzzle as I take a step back, completely at a loss for words. I don't... His bulging eyes move forward from mine to over my shoulder, and his rage melts, eyes growing wider. So I turn around, and my vision is filled with a mountain of brown fur. My eyes take a moment to draw out and focus, and what I realize I'm actually looking at is a bear. A huge one, even for a bear. Huge, naked, and carrying a long, thin branch. That bear stands the direction I came from, grinning stupidly at me. Instinctively, I widen my stance, eyes looking left and right. All the reasons have seemingly left the land of Echo, and now my brain is left to try to put the pieces of crazy place together. I watch as a huge tongue sticks out from between its blubbery lips to lick at them, sliding slimily between the gaps of missing teeth. Once he's done with that, he breaks out into a grin again, those black lips shimmering under the sun. This a friend, cat? The weirdly high-pitched voice is about as startling as its size. This your friend, cat? I look back at Clint, who's struggling to stand on his toes, clutching at the rope now. So hard finding a good switch back there, but now it's worth it, isn't it? For the two of you. The squeak that comes out of my muzzle seems to perk the bear's stubby ears, and he licks his lips again. I should get going. Sorry about seeing. Words fail me as the bear takes a step forward, and I start sidestepping, preparing myself to make a run for it. The bear mimics my stance, and my stomach drops as I see him take another step forward. I change my trajectory and back away instead. This time he doesn't follow me, just grins as he watches me move back into the bush. Clint struggles on his end of the rope, twirling around lazily as he tries to get a foothold. I get one last look at his face as he spins around, and I'm struck by the expression. For a moment, I'm 9 years old again, running behind the buildings of Main Street, probably from imagining foreign agents of some kind. When I hide behind the tree next to Clint's house, I hear the screen door open. In several minutes, I watch Clint breathing deeply into a rag. I'm too young to understand, but for some reason, I know it's not good. When I finally decide to run from my hiding spot, Clint looks up from me and meets the eyes. His eyes are wide and wild, confused and hurt, just like now. I stumbled into the brush, finally feeling like I'm far enough away to make a run for it. I get back holding a battery. What? I grab his arm and yank him towards the road. Come on. I mutter it under my breath. We're jogging down the road, Kutsu close behind, looking over his shoulder. So until we're at the end of the road, turning onto Main Street before I'm able to slow down myself and tell Kutsu what happened. Holy shit, that's Brian. Who? I'm still panting, sweating heavily in the heat after a short jog down the street. Big ass bear that lives in the brush, right? He has a trailer in there. I don't know him. Did he move here after I left? I thought a badger lived in that trailer. I'd assume so. He was here when I got here. Well, what the fuck was he doing? What the hell did I just see? My mind is still trying to process it. I don't have an answer. Can't say I'm surprised, though. Are you serious? That's like the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. Kuzo smirks. Well, I guess I would have had to been there, huh? I stare at him. Yeah, I guess. But from what I know of Brian, he's dumb and violent. Pretty sure he came here because he caused too much trouble in Payton. It's Clint that's the fucked up part. He was a fucking homophobe, but he's doing that shit? I don't know much about Clint either. What I do know is that Brian is his dealer. Really? Well, really, the entire town's dealer. It made sense that Clint would need one in Echo, considering he was banned for life from driving after getting 3 DUIs. But I thought Jeremy did that. Carl told me that's where he gets his weed. Kuzo shrugs again. I assume Clint is using more than just marijuana. Huh? Being clear what kind of relationship Clint and the bear have. I shudder, just wishing that I hadn't had to witness it. I already feel bad for Clint, but now Kuzo holds out his battery still in his hand. Want to move to the school? Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Oh my god. The next hour is pretty uneventful, though. I do get enough footage to the point where I'm satisfied. There is a point where I notice Duke down the road. He stands there for a while watching us as I'm getting different angles of the school. It's annoying, but even though he's a complete fuck up, he likes to pretend like he's in control of things in Echo. Probably just promoted himself to sheriff on of the town in his mind or something. I ignore him though, and the next time I look up, he's gone. I turn my attention back to my project, finally able to calculate how much work I actually have left. Now, most of my work is going to have to happen the night before the due date. I swallow, stomach churning at the thought. On the bright side, all the stress is pushing the memory of Clint being hanged and whipped out of my mind. Later on, I finally get another text from Leo just before my phone dies. Heading back. I'm hungry. We should meet at the diner. Sure. I invite Goodstill to come along, but he tells me that he can't stand diner food and that he was going to go fishing anyways. It's too bad because I've really been enjoying the raccoon's company and fishing sounds relaxing. I try to exchange numbers with the raccoon, but my screen dies the moment I turn it on. Kuzo takes my number though and promises to text me. I'm feeling better walking to the diner, but then I remember what happened with Leo, what I might have to do. Should I bring it up now? I don't even know where it'll end up going. Could I even trust him again? No, you don't. You don't trust this man. Holy fuck, you give him so much trust. Like, it's clear that he planned this specifically just to hang out with you and try to get you back into his arms. Your fucking Flynn was right. He's trying to get back in your pants. That's it. Leo's not in the diner when I get there. I pick up a booth towards the back, resting my head against the patchy cushions and closing my eyes. The week's gone by so fast. It feels like only yesterday that we actually got here. Thinking back, I remember worrying that everything was going to be awkward, that our past would catch up in the worst way possible. It fucking has. And it kind of did. We didn't fix or talk about anything. That gives me a jolt of realization and sadness. This whole time, I've been preoccupied with Leo and Leo with me. Wasn't Leo the one that was all concerned about us not keeping the pack together? This send-off feels empty and pointless. It's really the last time I might get to hang out with some of them, mainly Jenna and TJ. And TJ had the most shit to air out. Did I fuck up by basically ignoring him this entire time? I feel a lump in my throat as I think about the hike. I never went with him. Should I have figured things out with Leo at least temporarily? Very temporarily, actually. Already things are in jeopardy again. But now it feels like things I should have talked about with the others have been buried further. Fuck. I followed this route because people said like it was the better story. It was a good story. It was a good watch. Like I understand now why. Like there's so much. And Leo, I got what we wanted.